I'm going to get straight to the point. 5 years from right now, there is potential for the market to actually be down 27%. This is a NASDAQ, by the way. And if the NASDAQ goes down 27% over the course of 5 years, your individual stocks that you own are probably going to get crushed. But there's also a scenario that could play out where the market could continue ripping to the moon like it's been doing in the last couple years. So in this video, I'm going to give you the cold, hard facts in a way that nobody could debate, in a way that anybody could understand, of where the market is likely to go, and most importantly, the why behind it, because we want to know how to allocate our portfolios to make money, right? We're all here to make money. Okay, so check this out really quick. This right now is the Fear Greed Index with the S&P 500 behind it. Fear Greed is blue, S&P is the other one here. Long story short, when there's fear in the market, it usually times the bottoms of the market almost perfectly. So when you're fearful, retail investors are fearful, when you guys are buying puts, when you're freaking out, selling everything, that is often a time to be bullish in the market. So try not to be like a panic person in the market. Know what you own and why you own it, and you will see fear in the market as opportunity. And then on the reverse side, when we see market being in the greed category, kind of euphoric up here, it almost marks kind of perfectly where the top of the market is. I'm not saying the top is right now, but it does kind of mark like when things are a little bit expensive and not going to make a big rally, right? So where are we at right now? We're in a neutral category. Okay, Brandon, why did you waste my time showing me this chart? Because we got to know where sentiment is at in the market. Sentiment moves the market in the short term. Profits move the market in the long term. So understanding this tells us that the market is not super cheap based on this, and it's not super expensive. It's just kind of neutral, which is fine. Let's move on. Check out this data right here. This is so critical to understand, and it did just update right before I made this video, okay? Earnings per share growth matters a lot to understand, and valuations obviously matter a lot too, and we're going to go through interest rates and a couple key things that the new Fed chair, who totally dictates where the market might go, what he just said in his testimony, because it might shock you. We're going to go through that, and it's going to help us get a really good gauge of where we think the market's going to go and what scenario we're likely to pan out to be on, okay? But first, we got to understand this data that just updated. Long-term markets follow earnings. Short-term markets going to follow fear, greed, and sentiment. Sentiment right now is neutral, which sets us up for an opportunity potentially, an opportunity to capitalize. So we're expected to get, for Q2 of this year, earnings per share growth for the S&P 500 of 23.6%. Is it good? Is it bad? Is it ugly? It's very obvious that it's good because the average is about 8 to 10% per year. And when you understand that the S&P 500 averages about 10% per year in the long term, it's largely because of this. The stocks follow where the profits go in the long term. I've been saying that since day one on this YouTube channel. So understanding where this is at gives us a gauge of where the S&P and NASDAQ are likely to go, because if these keep going up and to the right, sentiment is likely to stay neutral or good, and the market's likely to continue up and to the right if that maintains. But if this earnings per share growth was bad, coming in at like 5% year over year, obviously the market's going to follow that down and to the right. So we don't want to be investing in an environment like that. We want to invest in an environment like this. But simply by saying the growth is good, that is not enough to invest in the stock market. Totally not enough. Totally. What if the valuation's a bubble? What if the economy is collapsing? What if interest rates are going to the moon? What if we're pricing in major interest rate hikes? We're going to go through that in just a minute, but let's just go one step at a time here and keep it very simple. The forward 12-month price earnings ratio level for the S&P 500 is 20.5. 5-year average is about 20. 10-year average is about 19. What does that tell us? That tells us that the valuation level that we are paying right now is very similar to the 10-year average, and the 30-year average is somewhere around, we'll call it 18. So are we okay to pay a little bit more of a valuation right now for things in the market versus the historical average, given that earnings per share growth is 23.6% year over year? In my opinion, yes. I think that it's justified to pay a little bit more for valuation. Fine, let's move on a little bit more. Where is the actual stock market at right now in relation to where the actual earnings per share is at? You can see that we're a little bit above. We're not too far above, but we're a little bit above. That is fine, because the earnings per share growth is basically going vertical right now. And all the market has to do is basically just go sideways for just a couple months, and then these lines are basically going to be overlapped, and the market's basically at fair value. The distance between these two lines right here is like 5%, if you're wondering. So if this is a 10-year chart, it's obvious that if EPS keeps going up and to the right like that, the market is likely to keep following that up and to the right in a bumpy way, in a very volatile way. You could see the correlation. EPS goes up and to the right. The market went up and to the right too. There's no more accurate and realistic indicator that tells us definitively where stocks are likely to go in the long term. where the earnings per share goes or where stocks are going to go. So let's summarize really quick and then move on. Earnings per share growth is great. Valuation's a little bit more than the average, but that is justified because EPS growth is very, very strong. Sentiment is neutral. Fine. Everything seems to be looking good so far. Now, today, as I'm recording this video, we literally just got inflation data that came out that almost shocked the entire world. Inflation for May was 2.9%. Right now, inflation is 2.6%. The Fed's target is 2%. The reason why we care about inflation is because that's going to dictate this, where interest rates are likely to go. And we could look at these projections right here for what the market's actually thinking. And I actually think it's a very bullish tailwind brewing in the market right now, okay? So on the top right here, I'm selecting the December 9th of 2026 Fed meeting. This shows us the odds of where we think interest rates are actually going to be at on that Fed meeting. Current range is 3.5 to 3.75. In English, what this chart means is this. There's a 17% chance that interest rates are going to hold steady by the December meeting of this year. And everything to the right is a percentage chance of interest rate hikes. You can see there's nothing to the left right here. Nothing. There's no chance of an interest rate cut right now, how the market is pricing this in right now. There's no chance. But when you have inflation data coming out like this, where it's only 2.6% year over year, and Kevin Warsh at the Fed is probably going to use different ways to measure inflation, which is likely to skew the inflation data down. He's going to be using more accurate data, as he's calling it. We're basically at target right now. So the market is likely mispricing where interest rates are likely to go. And when the market realizes that it mispriced that, it's very likely that interest rates will fall. And all you got to do to understand why interest rates matter so much is just look at this chart right here. This shows us the trailing price earnings ratio level for the S&P 500 going back to, we'll just say 1980. In 1980, the P ratio for the S&P was literally 7. 7. Very, very cheap. Right now, the trailing price earnings ratio level, meaning 12 months in the past, is about 32. So you can see the clear trend up and to the right on price earnings ratio level. So many people online, including the Michael Burrys, are saying, oh my God, the market is a bubble right now. But what they're not factoring in is this. Where have interest rates went in that same time frame? From 1980 until right now. Right now, we're at 3.63% all the way down here. Interest rates in 1980 were almost 19%. So when interest rates fell, the stock market became more compelling and the bond market became less compelling because rates were going down. That is what's happening right now in the market. If we get inflation to keep chilling out like we just saw in the data before that it is, and we see interest rates fall or just not get hiked, that is a very bullish tailwind for the market going forward. But that doesn't mean that we're not going to have volatility along the way. And I guess you're probably thinking like, well, Brandon, it seems like we're leaning towards this scenario right here and not this scenario. I haven't told you the bearish thesis yet for how this scenario might play out, but I want to start with this right here. Sometimes bad things happen in a market and no one's prepared for it. But guess what? The way that I always allocate my portfolio, it's always allocated in a way where it's going to be fine either way. If the market goes up, great, I'm going to appreciate with the market. But if the market goes down, fine, I'm just going to capitalize and I'll take advantage of those deals. And the future value of those positions in the future, when they get depressed and trade at good prices, I'm likely to make a lot of money on that going forward. But guess what? Bad things do actually happen. This right here is the dot-com crash. This right here is 2008. This right here is what happened with COVID, okay? So what this means is, going all the way back to 1945, this is the number of declines we had in a certain percentage range of a decline. This is how much the average decline was. This right here was the average length in months for how long it took for it to go down, and then how long it took to recover, okay? What we see in the market basically on a year-to-year basis, this right here is about, we'll just say 80 years. This right here basically shows us that every single year, there's 80 years and 84 times it happened, where the market basically went down 10%. It almost happens every single year. What about 20%? It's almost every 2 years the market goes down about 20%. That is normal, healthy, and justified. What about 20 to 40%, like a legitimate bear market? It happened about 9 times. So maybe once every 8 years, we will see something along the lines of this, a 20 to 40% drop. And then once every, we'll just say 25 years, we're going to get the big one. And maybe the big one's on the brink of happening right now. Maybe it's not. And maybe that's why this whole thesis right here is potentially, maybe like the big one is potentially going to happen. Now I'm going to give you what I think is going to happen with that. I'm not saying it's guaranteed, but this is my bearish thesis right now. I guess I'll tell you the key things that I'm, quote, worried about in the market right now. Number one, I think that this is the Most likely scenario to play out. I think the market's going to keep going up and to the right, and these percentages that I have right here are very intentional. This is the earnings per share growth going forward for the next 5 years. So this is end of 26, 27, 28, 29, and 30. This is the EPS growth I'm expecting to get out of the NASDAQ. Stocks are going to follow where the profits go in the long term, and we're probably going to see some line. We'll just do the orange one here to make it more clear. The market's probably going to wiggle above and below it like this for the long term. And when the market's down here where it's cheaper, you want to allocate more. When the market's up here and a little bit stretched above the earnings per share growth line, it's a little bit expensive. Because when the market is above, there's like a rubber band that wants to stretch and bounce back down to that line. And when the market stretched below, what does it actually want to do? It wants to go bounce back to the line. It's just reversion to the mean. I know it sounds very unintellectual and unintelligent to talk like this, but this is literally how the market moves. Market follows the profits in the long term. Short term, it's all about sentiment. And that's why we started out on the sentiment chart right here. Okay. But going back to this, what would it take for this scenario to play out where the market is literally down 27% 5 years from right now? It's not likely to just go trend down and to the right in a very consistent way. It's likely we have some sort of bad shock and then the market recovers to that. What would cause something like this? It could be China invading Taiwan. It could be that earnings per share growth absolutely collapses because AI is not what we think it's actually going to be. It could be because oil goes to the moon and inflation gets out of control, and then the market actually falls like it did exactly right here. The NASDAQ fell 35% right here, simply because inflation went to like 9% post-COVID. The Fed then raised interest rates from 0% to 5%, and because of the interest rates going up, the market went down. So that is, of course, very possible here too. We all know that the Iran situation is very dynamic and interest rates are being a little bit volatile because of that. And that's why everyone thinks, oh my God, we're going to hike rates this year. So what would cause that? It would be those things that I just said. Do I think it's the most likely scenario to pan out? No, of course not. I think this is. I think that America is going to be okay. I think the world economy is going to be okay. I think there's going to be bumps along the way that are likely to happen. And as long as you allocate your portfolio in a way that makes sense, you are going to be okay. You will see opportunity when we get volatility in the stock market. So stocks are going to follow the profits. Now, looking at a few different stocks right now, just to show you that stocks will follow the profits. And maybe some stocks that aren't following the profits that are actually opportunistic right now, okay? Check this out. And I know this video hasn't been like super action packed. I haven't been like keeping your attention good until the end like everyone on YouTube tries to do. That's fine. I just want to show you guys the value of what I'm thinking in the market, giving my perspective on stuff, and showing you what companies I'm actually looking at right now. So this video is a little bit more raw per se. Microsoft is on my radar. Earnings per share is going up and to the right. Fine. The stock technically has been going up and to the right, but it hasn't really been doing much for the last couple years. Why is that? Because 2 years ago-ish, this is where the stock was at. Probably 2.5 years ago. This was January of 2024. 2.5 years ago, the stock is where it was at right now. Why did the stock not go anywhere? It's because the price earnings ratio level was too high back here. The valuation was too expensive. Remember, you got to get a good company at a good price. And that's why we looked at the stuff for the S&P and NASDAQ earlier. We got to know where the earnings per share growth is for the S&P and where the valuation is at for the S&P to know where we think the future expected returns are going to be. We don't want to buy at a bubble. We want to buy when it's fair or cheap. So Microsoft right now is basically a little bit below fair value in my opinion, and I do think there's opportunity to capitalize. Now, what most investors are saying is, oh my God, the chart, it's not going to the moon. I don't want to invest. I want to buy something like AMD that's just been sending to the moon. Here's the deal with AMD. It did send to the moon, but you're paying 121 times trailing earnings for it. The stock is very expensive. Yes, it's an amazing company. There's no debating that. But how am I going to pay 121 times trailing earnings for it when I could get NVDA right here for basically a fourth of the valuation and get more top and bottom line growth? This is a mispricing in the market right now. It's likely NVIDIA is potentially going to go up, and AMD's future returns going forward from here probably aren't going to look as good because stocks follow this in the long term, the earnings per share. NVIDIA's profits are better. Let's take a look at another one. Everyone likes to talk about Google. I have Google in my portfolio. What do we think about it? Well, earnings per share is clearly going up and to the right. This stock has clearly been going up and to the right. Well, now sentiment is bad. Oh my God, it's not going to Pluto anymore like the stock. It's garbage. No, you want to buy things when they're on sale. You want to buy things when they are on a discount. And you don't want to go buy them and plan to hold them for like a week or two. You want to buy and plan to hold them for a few years. That's when I do options. Everything is long duration because nobody on earth knows what the market's going to do in the short term. And all options are is just a way to magnify something. I don't want to magnify something in the short term because I have no idea where the market's going to go in the short term. That is stupid. And of course, don't take my word for it. Just look at what Warren Buffett does. Everything is long duration and he has more money than you. So he is the Oracle of Omaha and you're not with your wheel, your cover call, your short duration options. Just think about that and think about why he does long duration options only. And he does portfolio secured puts, not cash secured puts. You're welcome to go look that up too. So Google's another one that's on my radar. You guys know that I've been talking about Meta. Geez, I've been talking about Meta so much on this channel here. And Meta started to wake up a little bit, we could say. Meta has been trading sideways, kind of like Microsoft for a few years. Earnings per share has been going up and to the right. Everybody's all worked up about, oh my God, they're spending all this money in capital expenditures. What are they going to do? Well, Meta's starting to release some products of what they're actually building with the AI. They're planning to sell extra compute. They're planning to sell API access to basically go plug into their AI and make more money from that. Fine, that is good. We're also seeing good growth on Meta's ad business. The revenue is up 26% year over year, which of course isn't as good as NVIDIA, but you're also not paying the valuation of NVIDIA. You're paying 21 times trailing earnings for Meta, in my opinion, which is very, very cheap. So what I think Meta is likely to do is it's going to be bumpy for the next couple quarters. But I think if you're patient and you do 2-year portfolio secure puts and leap call options and shares and keep all your ratios in check, I think the odds are stacked in your favor. Because every trade that we do, we want to feel like we're the dealer or the house at a casino. We don't want to be the player because the player sometimes wins in a short term, but in the long term, we know that the player loses. And when you're betting on AMD or Palantir or SoFi or HIMS or whatever the other hot stocks are, the Marvells, stuff like that, or the Intels, geez, that's an expensive one. We could look at that one, INTC. When you're betting on stuff like this, you're the player. The odds are not stacked in your favor. And yes, sometimes in the short term, the player does win, but you're obviously seeing Intel stock pull back from the highs here. It was 140, now it's 100. That's over a 40% pullback or roughly a 40% pullback. Just because the odds aren't stacked in your favor, you need valuations to be more compelling. And if we look at PLTR, which I know a lot of people talk about, and I get it, it's a great company. Look, this shouldn't shock anybody. I've been saying on this channel from day one, the stock is expensive. It's an amazing company, but you're paying 142 times trailing earnings for that. Brandon, I don't know what that means. You're buying this business right here and paying $142 for it, and it's giving you $1 per year in profit. Say it out loud. Do you want to go buy that business in the real world? Well, Brandon, it's Palantir. It's great. I don't care. You're paying $142 and you're only getting $1 back. That is not what you want to see. You want to buy something like Meta, potentially. I'm not, nothing's financial advice. You're paying $21 for it and getting $1 a year in profit. There's so much more margin of safety built into that trade right there. Palantir is a software company, and who knows what's actually going to happen with software because of AI. We just saw what happened with IBM where the stock went down a lot. We could look at that one really quick. I know that people probably are caring about that. IBM, look, the stock went down. I believe it's down 26%, 25% when I'm recording this. It's fine. It's justified. It's healthy. It's deserved. IBM's revenue growth is not even 10% per year, and at 18 times trailing earnings right now, I still think it's a little bit expensive. So imagine how expensive it was before this 25% drop. Valuations matter, guys. That's what I'm trying to tell you. You got to buy a good company at a good price, hold it for the long term, and only do options in a way that makes sense, and you will do fine. So to reiterate and summarize on my messy looking chart right here, what I think is going to happen in the market, I think this is the most likely scenario to pan out. It's going to be volatile. There's going to be bad things that happen along the way. The market's going to follow a zigzag up and to the right. When there's fear in the market and people are panicking and you find a great company at a good price, you allocate and you be patient and you don't try to time the perfect bottom because nobody could do that. You allocate, you be patient, you keep your ratios in check. And even if the market falls 50%, always ensure that you're going to be fine in that environment, because in my $1.5 million Schwab account, I'm always allocated to be fine in a 50% crash, period. Always, because some bad things often happen. We might get bad luck with some black swan, maybe China beige Taiwan, or some of the bearish things play out, like I said. Okay, video's done. If you got value, click the link below. 10-day stocks and options transformation training will help you out a lot. Will change your life. You get access to the Discord, the stock sheet, everything I do in my training will help out. If you don't want to do it, watch the video right here. It'll help you out how I do options in a long duration way that actually works. I'll see you guys there.